final day for Denbigh and iGoat Chat is doing its wrap on the day. We're honored to have Mr. Albert Fearon back again, animal scientist from CARDI, the Caribbean Agriculture Development Institute,
Institute.
right? So he has gonna give us a full presentation right now on small ruminants, right?
Yep.
Right, and you did a similar presentation this morning at the big room for HiPro,
Yeah.
and we're honored to have you here today again, so our viewers can get this.
Great.
All right, so if you want to give, if there's anything short introduction you want to give them about the presentation before we go straight into it.
Well, yes. What this presentation is looking at is the whole growth of the small ruminant industry in Jamaica
Mhm.
since the early 1990s, and we'll just go through some of the challenges, some of the successes, and the way forward.
Okay. All right. So without further ado, I'll let you get into it.
Yeah.
Um, and as long as I stay out of your way,
Yeah.
you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I'm an animal productionist, animal scientist from Cardi with responsibility for small ruminants, sheep and goats,
Yes.
and that includes Jamaica and the wider Caribbean. So we do operate in islands outside of Jamaica. So during this presentation, you might see me mentioning Trinidad and Tobago or Barbados
Okay.
during the presentation.
Yeah.
But with the real focus is on the growth of the industry in Jamaica, and there are some similarities for the whole thing. So we here we go.
Okay. Let's next slide.
Yeah, next slide, please.
We're trying to work this thing from the laptop here. Go ahead.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So the first thing we want to look at is why are we investing in small ruminant production
Okay.
within the region?
Yeah.
And in a heads of government conference not so long ago, maybe the last 10 years,
Hmm.
it was determined that small ruminant production, the needs of the Caribbean, going to be a focus of all the Caribbean governments. And we call that a JAGDIO initiative. It comes from, at the time, the president of Guyana. He was the one leading the process. So what we wanted actually to do was to facilitate mutton and chevron, mutton
Hmm.
being sheep and chevron being goat, substitution for small ruminant income throughout Jamaica. So we want to throughout Jamaica and the wider Caribbean. So it's the sheep and goat meat that we're looking to think. And further on, if we're going to do that, we must increase on the production
Yes.
and the productivity
Hmm.
of what we already have. So one of the bases that we look at is to get improved breeding stock throughout the region and throughout Jamaica. And now that we have them, we have to use application of improved management and feeding technology to go the way forward. Next slide, please. Next
Okay.
slide. Yeah, so a little bit of history of the whole goat production in Jamaica and its origins. As early as the maybe even the 18th century,
Yeah.
we have goats coming into Jamaica. 15th, 16th century, because remember that we were colonized by a different set of people. So we come to wonder what did they eat when they come to Jamaica,
Good. Yeah, it's true.
right? So Christopher Columbus had to bring something. And most naturally, he couldn't have brought an elephant. He couldn't have brought a steer. So cattle was out of it. And maybe what he brought was rabbit and goats,
Okay.
right? So it was theorized that because of the route he was taking from Spain, he would
Hmm.
have stopped around the Canary Islands to get fresh water and food. So we think that the original goats that came to Jamaica came from the Canary Islands.
Really?
Yes.
So okay, so the Spanish goat that they speak of, you think is actually from? The Canary Islands.
The Spanish goat, yes, the Spanish goat might have been in Jamaica
Hmm.
before we even do a later importation in the 1990s. Because, we reintroduced them in the 1990s. But
Okay.
they probably were here long before because of our colonization.
Okay.
Yes. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah. Okay, so what are the breeds of goat that we normally have in Jamaica? If we notice today that we have a conglomerate of breeds in Jamaica, we have large breeds, small breeds, and we have a intermix. And that is maybe why we have a goat that is known as our native goat or a local goat.
Local good.
Yeah, right. And that is why it is so hardy because of its mixes that are from where they came from. So the first set of goats that were brought in was a goat that we call the nanny goat or the ruby goat or the bastard ibex. And if you look at those are some goats, very small goats,
Yeah.
but they have very sharp and pointed horns.
Yes.
And we can see that in some of our goats here today.
Hmm.
Now, in about 1897, our records show that we brought the Angora goat. And the Angora goat are the type of goat that can be used for fiber.
Oh,
The
those are the one with a lot of
lot of
hair on it.
hair.
Yeah.
So that right now in America, they're raised not mainly for the meat, but they're
Hmm.
mean for the hair that they use
Yes.
to make coat that used to prepare for thing,
Okay.
right? But the Anglo Nubian now came about in 1907. That's the first record we have of Anglo Nubian goat
Yes.
coming into Jamaica
Hmm.
in 1907, and those goats were originated in from England. Now, why the wide gap between the 1897
1897
and
and 1907.
1907? Because there were other explorers. There were like when Penn and Venables came, there was no need for them to bring goats to Jamaica because the Jamaica goat population was so much advanced
Okay.
from where the Spaniards brought them.
Yes.
Right, so they didn't have to bring goats. So it was in 1907
Hmm.
that another set of goats, new breed of goat, was brought in, and that was closely followed in 1910 by the Toggenburg. Now the Toggenburg is a chocolate-looking goat,
Okay.
chocolate color goat with the
Hmm.
same badger face as the Alpine, and the Saanen. When we thought about milking our goats, it's not a new thing about goat milking in Jamaica, because we brought the Saanen in about 1929, and that was closely followed by the Alpines in 1940. So we had a mixture, and that's why we see our goats that we have now that we call the native goat or native goat. They're so hardy, and there's a whole mix. And of course, we're not leaving out the La Manchas. The
Yes.
La Manchas are a dual purpose goat, can be used
But
for
I
meat.
don't see them much in Jamaica though.
You're not seeing them much in Jamaica, but at one time they were, sprinkling of them throughout Jamaica, especially in Clarendon in the Lionel
And
Town
they
area.
and they are dairy goat,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
dairy breed, right?
They are a dairy breed, but they can be used as a dual purpose goat because
Hmm.
they get to very large size. The Toggenburg and the La Mancha,
Yeah.
and those are the goats with the elf ear. They don't
Hmm.
have any external lobes, but they
Yes.
grow into huge goats.
Okay.
Yes, right. So there was a new trend, of course,
Yes.
and there were many projects that were introduced into Jamaica, and one of the project was a technology transfer and applied research project that was started about 1990, and
Yeah.
one of their objective was to bring new blood into bring new blood into Jamaica, right? So the Anglo Nubian now.
Yes.
So the biggest importation of Anglo Nubian
Yeah.
so far came into Jamaica in 1992.
1992.
1992.
How many animals we talking?
Um, when they came in, there were 46 animals,
Hmm.
36, 36 females, 36
Yeah.
does,
Hmm.
and 8 bucks. And they came into
So
the.
the Anglo Nubians, are they the high milk yielders or no?
They are high milk, but they're also a good, reasonable, good meat producing
Okay.
animals. So
Okay.
in terms of the duality,
Hmm.
the Anglo Nubian is a good goat to raise. It's a huge goat. It's a very attractive goat. We normally refer to it as the aristocratic goat.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
the way they look,
People love
and the
the
right,
Nubians. They love the Nubians.
right. So um, the boar goat. Now we know that the boar goat is a big thing in Jamaica. You can see
Yes.
from the recent
Yeah, I think.
agricultural
Yeah,
show.
I actually think boar goats are the most sought after
Yes. Yeah,
in Jamaica right now.
right, right.
You know.
So the boar goats in
Mhm.
90 came into Jamaica from Canada. The first set came into Jamaica from Canada, and I think that was in December, where we had about 10 boar goats coming into the island. They were
Okay.
introduced into the island, and then after that, in terms of boar goat thing, we start to get from the United States of America and Canada. Those are major source of
Hmm.
animals to date. There was one time when we tried to import from Australia, but we could only get semen. So we did get semen from Australia that was used in our Jamaican landscape to develop. And you can see some of those animals we actually see some of the offspring of those animals in the shoring
Okay.
today.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I saw them
right, right. So
in the show yesterday.
right, right.
Yeah.
They're coming from a line we call the
Hmm.
Terrawina brand.
Yeah.
So they are very much in Jamaica. And that came in
Hmm.
under uh, a project, Common Funds for Commodity,
Okay.
that was executed in Jamaica and the
Hmm.
region. So that was a big input into the goat production in Jamaica.
Okay.
And since then, there are steady importation of all breeds.
Hmm.
There's a
I don't
facility.
know if it's a steady importation, but
Yeah, well,
yeah, there
there is a
is.
steady importation. The only hitch at one time was because of some restrictions
Hmm.
by the veterinary division, and I must really commend our veterinary division in Jamaica because of their strictness. No disease are allowed to come into Jamaica, so they go to the fine points, right?
Yes.
And because of that, there are restrictions on the farms that we can import from.
Hmm.
But now there's an understanding, and there are specific areas that we can go now and import goats, and that is happening as we speak. There are animals coming into Jamaica as we speak, and there are animals on the horizon to come into Jamaica as we speak.
Okay.
Right. So we let us look at the whole industry now.
Yes.
Now we talk about a little bit of how we
Hmm.
got here, right? But this industry, small ruminant industry, is really an socio-economic industry. It's a industry that the whole farm family it can be included in it. The
Yeah.
father and I have, the pictures look at there. I call it the father and the son.
Hmm.
So it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Goat.
Yeah. Oh,
Right, right,
that's a nice one. Yeah.
right, right. So
Hmm.
what we have right now, the last check we have over 60,000 farm families that are actually involved in goat in goat.
60,000.
Over 60,000
Over
farm
60,000.
families. There's no need for another survey, but we can safely say that we have over 60,000
Yes.
farm families that are involved in the
Hmm.
business of small ruminant goat production. Um, the amount of animals that we have in Jamaica, we really don't know. But from our last check and from the extension services that is done by the Goat Breeder Society of Jamaica
Hmm.
and the RADA influence, we think that there's about 750,000 heads of goats in Jamaica.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
right, right. So,
Hmm.
all right. So, what are some of the constraints that we had uncovered over the year?
Yeah.
One of the main one from early and still is the insufficiency of breeding stock. That's a major concern that we
Yeah.
have in Jamaica. Mark you, we're getting better, but there's still a wide gap for us to produce
Improve stock.
to
Improve
produce
genetics.
improve genetics, right? One of the other problem too, there's not many organized
Hmm.
breeders in Jamaica because what is happening, everybody want to breed, but there's no structure in the breeding. So even
Yes.
though we might import some very good genetics, pretty soon because there's no control, pretty soon that genetics become so close that all the animals are
Yeah,
are,
they're going to
are,
be related,
are, are
and we
going to be
can start
related.
finding faults.
Right. So we need to have a good structured breeding program. Right. One of our problems in the past was the low mature weight of our animals. Okay, we're
Hmm.
not we're not getting the weight at 8 months so
Yes.
that we can have a reasonable carcass, say about 90 to 100 pounds in 10 months. That's what we'll be looking for thereabout. As on an average, we look 90 to 100 pounds when they get
Yes.
to things. So that's the animal that you're looking for meat, right? Um, and
Yeah.
one of the larger issues that is affecting each and every
Yes, people.
farmer in Jamaica is is the larceny and predation of animals. Because a lot of farms have been broken into, a lot of animals have been stolen, and so on. And of course, we are also threatened by cheap imports that are coming into Jamaica. A lot of cheap imports coming to Jamaica from other countries, which I don't wish
Yeah.
to name right now.
Okay.
But cheap imports are coming in,
Yes.
and that's affecting our market structure as we speak right now.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So poor management is another issue that we found out. No production system. Um, there's no system that we have breeder stock, feeder stock that we're going for meat or we're going for milk. Everybody, most of the farmers on the whole, have everything mixed up in one. So there's no structure.
There's no structure, right?
Right, right. Um, post post market structure, post production structure, marketing. How do we market our goods?
Once you get them to market weight or to whatever, how do you market them? How do you sell
Exactly.
them to get
So
them to people's
so
table?
so what is prominent and prevalent is we find a tree somewhere
Yes.
and slaughter a goat, and somebody grab and run.
Yeah, backyard thing.
Backyard slaughter. So a lot we are not able to adequately say how much goat pass through our abattoir
Yeah, we
because
really don't know, right?
very little goes through the abattoir. All right. So the marketing system again, there's no good. There's markets, because we produce goat and we sell goats, but there's not a structure so that when we increase, we know where it's going and we know where
Yes.
whatever is going.
Okay.
Okay, so around about 1992, what did we do? As the Caribbean Agriculture Research and Development Institute, we realized that what we have in front of us was a project in limbo. We want to find out how do we get this thing into a structured way. So we consult, right? So we go through a consultation process. And then we came up with some of these research findings.
Okay.
Okay, so we realized that one of the big problem was
Housing.
lack of proper housing
Yes.
system, right? So if you have lack of housing, then we have to come up with a housing that is affordable, right, and is sustainable.
Yes.
So we started out with a thatch house, which farmers could collect local stuff from around their farms, and they could get low cost material to build a house. What happened? That worked for a while, but the farmers now realizing that housing does work, they move to other high tech structures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any of this. So what we do as an organization, we provide design for intensive and semi-intensive housing system. We
Yes.
do that, and we have a prototype that we allow to scale for every farmer who needs it, so they could come and get their own carpenter to do their construction. So that's what we did for to improve the housing. One of the other big problems too was feeds and feeding, right? So we were giving our goat grass to eat, but we know sometimes we have a challenge with type of grass that you feed in terms of how we fertilize grass. So we allow the farmers to know that grass is a crop,
Yes.
right? So if grass is a crop, you must treat it just like how you treat your other crop. You must fertilize the grass. You must treat it for insects and all of that. And then we came up now that wherever the pasture is not adequate, we'll come up with adequate supplementation.
Mentation.
And now let me point this out straight. A lot of farmers think that bag feed or commercial concentrate is supplementation.
Yeah.
Now, what you need to do is to grow grass for your animal. That's what they eat. They're ruminants. So you grow grass for your animals. And wherever they're lacking, you'd feed supplements. And you'd feed supplements based on the time in the animal's life cycle. So we
Yes.
do life cycle feeding. Animal that is dry, you don't need to do that. Animal that has been prepared for breeding,
Yeah.
you feed them up. The animal that has bred and you want to maintain the pregnancy, then you would improve the nutrition by
Nutrition.
addition. So that's why. So
So
first,
maintenance animals don't need the extra
maintenance
input.
animals, good pasture,
Hmm.
and that's enough for them.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that's grazing forages. We look at fodder crops like the king grass, sugar cane is a very important feed for your animals. If you are growing sugarcane and you reap it, the tops can be used. There's a legume that is known as Leucaena or Leucaena.
Yeah.
Um, that's very good to add nitrogen to your feed. And of course, you have conserved fodder like your forages and byproducts. And of course, if you have all of those, we must manage our animals properly. So we came up with identification, whether it's ear tag, and we're moving now to RFID,
Yeah.
where pretty soon every farmer in Jamaica must have their animals properly identified so that they can track them, and that's for traceability in the whole meat industry that is coming up. So we need to practice good management this
Yeah.
thing.
So that's what you're talking about identification and good record
Identification, right?
keeping.
So those are some of the things that we
Okay.
use, and I can't overstress the matter of record keeping.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You must keep records.
Hmm.
If you don't know where you're going, then any road will lead you there. So
Yes.
we need to have
Good
proper
record keeping.
records.
And I always say you can't manage what you don't know.
You can't manage what you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
of course, what we do, we provide a lot of information products.
1 second. Trudy, Sam, he's gonna come on? Okay, tell him to give me 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Let
Now we
me
have a
talk
lot
to him.
of information products that we do produce, and all those can be had from the Caribbean Agriculture Research and Development Institute. You can also go to the Goat Farmers Association. They have all these information on all aspects of small ruminant production. All right. So let's quickly introduction. All right. So you can go because those are the areas that we have
Okay.
information in, and we do outreach program that we go actually on farm and on
So
station
how much on farm training and out does Cardi do?
a whole lot,
Yeah?
hundreds, But what happened? We got a real setback from COVID,
Okay.
But we still do, and maybe what farmers need to do, we'll get there quicker if you invite us, you know,
Okay.
because we don't have an actual
So
project
we
going
should
on now.
plan for us. We should plan a training, especially the vermi composting.
Yes,
We need to do prepare properly for it. Have
yes,
everything that's needed, and then have you guys come and do
and we do that. Have
that
that
thing.
facility.
Yeah, I
We have
want to
that
do that
facility.
up by our end.
Whenever
Yeah.
you're ready, let
Okay.
us know.
Yeah.
All right. You might. I don't know if you want to run down to the bottom for in the interest of time. Okay, go back one slide. All right. So this is the methodology that we use
Yes.
as an organization. We do a diagnosis of what was happening in the field.
Yes.
Now we got the information. We go and do the applied research, and so the whole dynamic diagnostic is going out there and speaking to the farmers
Yes.
and speaking to the input suppliers. Um, and then what did we do? We have transfer. We do primary transfer. We go one on one with the farmer, or we do two groups, and we do groups with the intention that the group will pass it on to other persons. And of course, we prepare all these information products, every single information on goats. If you can find it within our system, we can go to our wider Caribbean and get it for you.
So who's archiving this data? All this information you're collecting. Who's archiving it, and in what form is it being
A
archived?
lot of it can be found on the Cardi website.
I know I found some valuable videos
Yeah,
on the
yes,
Cardi video back in the day
back in
with
the
Dr. Young,
right.
Khalil, yourself,
Yeah, yeah,
Maxine Brown, and they
exactly.
were very helpful.
Right.
So all that information you guys been collecting over the years, you're saying they're on a website.
Most of them are on. If
Most
the
of them are okay.
what is maybe not be on is some
Hmm.
recent thing that we're doing,
Okay.
but that's the intention to put everything on.
All
I
right.
think.
Sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. Um, go ahead.
So in time in the thing of because of time, we're gonna skip through some of these slides
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then let Mr. Fearon get to the meat of things.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
can skip this one.
Yeah, you can skip that one. You can- those are just speaking to
Yeah,
some of the system that
yeah.
we practice. And okay,
That's the backyard
I
butchery
just put that
that you're
slide.
talking about.
I
Yeah,
just put that
most
slide in.
Jamaicans are familiar with that,
Yeah,
and
yes.
we're trying to move away from
We're
that and
trying to move away from that. And
create a nice abattoir
right,
for a small operation. And the Ministry of Health, I think, has
per
these
training
specs and
programs.
training
Yeah,
program
yeah.
for a small abattoir.
Right. But I just want let's go to the next slide.
Yeah.
And this is what we normally see on a Sunday morning.
Yes.
That's on the
In the
roadside.
countryside or
Right.
whatever, and people just come collect.
Right. Somebody's chopping and
Yeah.
somebody's grabbing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
But we do have some areas where there's a development on
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
There's a development we have done. This is more like
More.
going into a slaughter facility.
Yes.
That is somewhere in the Caribbean.
Hmm.
We're going into a slaughter facility to look at cuts. Right, go ahead.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a massive thing. Yeah, it can be a small room,
No, this
just with
this
the necessary
this
tools. Hmm.
was a slaughterhouse where we were looking at comparing the
Hmm.
carcass to see how well the carcass will fit into a market system
Yeah.
from the hotel industry. So we did all these animals that they are different ages and different size. And then go to the next slide. We'll right. So those are some of the cuts that can be done.
Can be done.
Can be done, and those are some of the cuts that the hotel industry
Would
is
like.
would like to looking they
Okay.
would like those cuts. So we know what the cuts are,
Hmm.
so we can aspire to do them.
Yeah, well, I think that's the way it should go.
Right,
I think we should put emphasis on having training done,
right. So
so
everybody can benefit.
everybody can do it.
If you
You
want
get,
chop up,
yeah,
you'll get it. If you
yes.
want
If
cuts,
you want the correct thing,
you'll get it.
cut up, you can get it, and then you can get, you
You
know,
can,
these meat, these cuts
right.
that the restaurants, like high end restaurants
Yeah,
or
yeah,
boutique hotels, and them would like cuts like
definitely.
that, right?
Okay, so you can just skip through those.
Yeah.
I was just showing some of the cuts. And okay, I want to stop here because what we actually did
Hmm.
was train some persons in meat fabrication.
Okay.
We have, if you notice, they're showing off with their certificate.
Yeah.
So these were trained by the ministry and Cardi, and they were have their certificate in meat cutting. So the next process was to get them licensed as butchers.
Okay.
Right. So we have that
That's good.
facility in place. Yeah. Right.
And
So
these are the different
these
things
are
that they
some
would do.
actually those are some hamburgers possibilities.
Yeah.
Where yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we do burgers at on Cabra
That's your
Ranch.
great.
Oh yeah, we do burgers, and the only reason we didn't have it here is because the storage thing we weren't sure how we're gonna
Yeah, yeah.
keep it,
Oh, okay,
whole
yes.
and whatever for the
Yeah, yeah.
time being. So,
Right. So you can skip through the
yeah, so
different
all these
types of
slides we have the
sausages and
products.
things. Yeah, those
I
are some
love
of the.
that.
Okay, I want to stop at that slide.
Hmm.
This was in about early 2000. Can't remember the exact date, or 19 something.
Hmm.
What you're looking at there is a butcher that you had brought in from Scotland to come to Jamaica to investigate with the hotel industry if they would use goat meat on their menu. That was done,
Yeah,
right? So we brought him in, and if you see there, they did a nice
that's the
presentation.
presentation he did.
Yeah, right. So those persons that is looking with their books and writing down,
Hmm.
those are the chefs from most of the hotels on the north coast,
Oh wow,
right?
executive chefs.
So listen to what I'm saying. That was in early 2000 or
Yeah,
late
now we're in
1990s.
2022,
We are in 2022
and we
now.
haven't made no headway.
No, but the question that was asked when they got there, they said, no, goat. We don't know anything about goat to put on the menu. So we said, what we're doing is a taste test. We're presenting the taste. And at the end of the day, the guy said to us, we can use goats on our menu. So the next question is, who can provide this goat meat so that we can have goat on our menu at least one day a week?
Wow,
And the story stops there. Because we cannot consistently produce
produce
at the level
that they would not the supply they need.
that's supplied. So why I'm saying this, there's a wide open market for goat meat in Jamaica. But we're just not producing
Enough.
enough, and we're not producing them at the quality that can be used. No, we are getting there a little bit, but we're not there yet. So what we need to do,
We need to keep pushing.
we need to keep pushing, and what we need to be looking at is the nutrition,
Mhm.
um, management, and nutrition, and the breeding, and that's
Yes.
what we're going to get it there. So um, let me just segue into some of the other things.
Yeah.
We have not looked at the dairy, the possibility of goat dairy.
Oh yeah, that's what we're showcasing right next door to us.
Right,
Right
right, right.
next to us.
So maybe we are the only island in the Caribbean that's not having a major focus on goats. But we are moving now, and from what my understanding, the government project is now bringing in some dairy animals into Jamaica
Yes.
over the hopefully next few months or a year. They're bringing
They're gonna
some.
be focused on importing dairy animals.
They're going to be focused on importing Alpine,
Mhm.
Nubian, Saanen into Jamaica. And let me tell you, you can make more money
From the
from
milk.
dairy than you
From the
do
meat.
with your normal meat production.
Yes.
So that's where we should try to go. There's so many products that we can do. Now, the genetics is important, and we do have genetics, but we must preserve them. So what we're doing now as a group, rather, Ministry of Agriculture, CARDI, the Small Ruminant Association of Jamaica, we're coming together. We will now establish a registry
Mhm.
for Jamaican goat now.
Okay.
The
So can you
Jamaica.
give us a timeline on when that's gonna be launched?
Okay, so let me tell you
Because
what.
we know it's been talked about quite a bit for
Quite
a
a while.
while.
So I can tell you what is happening now.
Mhm.
Um, the team came together, and we have developed all the inputs for the registry. And my understanding is that because it's a document like that, it has to go to tender. So the document, it has been tendered for somebody to develop the system. Um, I'm sure that that has started. Um, right now, I can't give you the timeline, but it is in progress right now. So we have done all the groundwork, um, showed what we want, and we have done a small launch sometimes just a little before COVID. But what this will do, it will measure not only the productivity, but it will identify goals through tags, identification numbers. You'll be able to tell at one shot a goat whether it come from the parish of Portland or whether it come from the parish of Westmoreland. What we'll do if the animal is transferred from one farm to another, there's a part on the database. Once you click on it, the animal you can see that the animal has been transferred from what to what. Who was the first owner? What was the date of birth of the animal? So when you come to the show, nobody have to guess which age because you're going to present your certificate. So we'll see an authenticated certificate that will be stamped and certified
Yeah.
through the government of Jamaica. So that is in progress. But before we, but after we do that now, if we're doing a database, we must know which animals are alpine, which animals are Nubian, which animals are boar. And we're talking about which animal is a Jamaican boar. We're not talking about a boar. We'll accept boar animals that is come from overseas. But when they come to Jamaica, when we want to know that this
Which
animal,
ones are developed in Jamaica? Yeah.
right, just like how you'd have a
Mhm.
Australia boar, a South
Yeah,
African boar, a
yeah,
New Zealand boar, a British boar.
yeah.
We
Jamaican boar.
right. So right now, where we are with that, we have I think we have completed the standard, the Jamaican standard for the boar goat. We have not launched it yet. But because what we want to do the Jamaican standard for the boar, the native goat, standard native goat. We want to
Mhm.
do that, and that's very important.
They
Um,
gotta preserve that, right?
but we're right. What we're doing now, um, if we're allowed to, based on what is happening, because we plan to do that from the last 2 years,
Mhm.
was to characterize the native goat. So we're going to be measuring the length of the animal from neck to withers. So and so on. We're going to measure the backline of the animal. We're going to measure the height of the animal. So we know when we classify a Jamaican goat, Jamaican native goat that have been here from Columbus time
Yes.
will exactly know what that animal is. So we have started it. A team is put together, and we will be inviting more persons as we go along. Because right now we target persons that have experience with boar goats,
Yeah.
and we're going to look at some of the lead person with thing. So at the end of the day, we might be have about 10 or 12 persons that will have their input, and of course there are standards which will be adapting from other places. We'll look at the standard that is much closer to our own Jamaican standard, and that is what why we want to look at.
Okay.
You know. So I just want to look at the way forward. If you go to the very last slide,
The very last one.
yeah, man, you have to just scroll down until you get there.
We will get to the last slide. That's a massive presentation. Yeah.
Going to take a little longer time for it.
We're almost there.
Okay,
If it's the last slide, is there.
yeah. No, not that last slide.
This one?
Okay, yeah, man.
Okay.
So, you know, in concluding
Yes.
this presentation, um, what are the things that we want to see within the small ruminant industry in Jamaica? Um, we want to capitalize on the markets because they are huge markets, not
Yeah,
only Jamaica.
yeah, the potential, especially in the region, the
Re-
potential is massive.
There's a wide
Yeah.
potential
Hmm.
for regional
Yes.
thing because we have our reach in the region and they're looking to Jamaica as the standard bearer. So we need to capture that market, right? You must move away from hobby farming because we realize that in Jamaica, a lot of our farmers,
Hobby
uh,
farmers.
yeah, a lot of them are hobby farmers. You
Yes.
know, we don't get serious on it. We like to raise like
They
a couple
love
goats.
goats and they have some goats
They have
and
some goats.
they like some beautiful looking boars
Right,
and Nubians or whatever.
exactly.
But they're
But
not making a business out of it.
they're not getting the business that would contribute. All right. Um, so we want to maximize our profits, you know, by commercializing,
Yes.
moving away from the hobby and commercializing. Um, profits may be maximize and increase in the value of the breeding stock. Because the only way you're going to increase the value of the breeding stock if you're going to continue putting in new genetics. You know, every 2 years or so, you'll bring
Yes.
new genetics. So we don't have a stalemate in your breeding, right? So you'll have hybrid vigor and you have good quality animal. So we need that. Record keeping.
Yeah.
In order for us to breed and
Hmm.
breed good animals and breed reputable animals, that we
Yes.
must have thing.
Good
Now,
record keeping.
what we started and we touched on within um, do a lot of discussion on it was the assisted breeding techniques.
Yes.
That is
Like
uh,
artificial insemination,
artificial
embryo
insemination, embryo
transfer.
transfer, and
Yeah.
so on. We must do that because it is very expensive to bring live animals into Jamaica.
Yes.
But we do have the technology here through some of our training. We have persons in Jamaica right now that can do embryo transfer. We have persons in Jamaica that can do artificial insemination. But where I want to see this go, I want to see farmers doing artificial insemination.
Okay. You want the farmers themselves
I
to be
want the
trained
farmers to be trained
as technicians.
to do artificial insemination.
Okay.
The embryo transfer is a little bit more difficult
Yeah.
because it's an invasive technique and you have to have a veterinarian to do that. But in other places, the farmers do their own AI and they can monitor it overnight and they can create an environment, right? So that's one to do. And then to spread this knowledge, we must use ICTs, information and communication technologies
Yes.
from everywhere. They're all over the place. It's not like one time where you have to read a book. You can
Yeah. That's what iGoat does. iGoat share information
share
and
information
technology.
and technology over the internet. So there's a wide range out there, and fa- farmers who may see this, we must support the Small Ruminant Association of Jamaica. We must attend our training, and we must get more knowledgeable about our small ruminant production system. Thank you.
All right. And I wish that we had more time
Yeah,
that you
yes.
can really go in details with some of this stuff.
Now we can take out pieces of it and do them
Yeah,
separately.
because it's so vital for somebody like you to really tell us, for somebody like you to give us the history
Yeah.
and how you see it going forward and the help that people, farmers need,
Yeah,
right?
and where they can get the
And
help
where they
from.
can get the help from and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that. So thanks again, Mr. Farron.
Bless him.
And it's always a pleasure. And you have an open invitation anytime you
Yeah,
want
man.
to come, I go chat and share some information. We're here.
Definitely. Definitely.
All right?
Just give me a buzz.
Yeah, man. Thank you again.
All right.
Here. Don't forget your. Mr. Farron, don't forget your. Oh, yeah.